The MD4 was a disc that released last year for the European Open, or I guess I should say re-released, because Innova used to make Discmania's MD4. Now that they manufacture their own discs, or House of Discs does, it was released again in the metal flake, and now a bunch of other plastics, last of which is a Tour Series disc that I feel like is completely flown under the radar. No one's really talking about it. So today we're gonna see if this is one of the more underrated discs in the Tour Series lineup from Discmania. This is Kyle Klein's Eternal Void. I had to look at it to remember the name. And it's a Horizon MD4, Horizon S line. It feels honestly a little bigger in the hands than your typical MD4. This is a little slimmer. I think it has to do with a little bit of dome that this disc has. So I want to show you side by side the MD4 typical overstable mid-ranges, like the Meridian Discs Ravine, which I liked. It actually, I realized it got a little straighter on me than I was expecting in that plastic. So it's a little straighter than the MD4 now for sure, kind of between it and an MD3, but it's a little shallower, a little thinner profile. I also have the Birdie Disc Golf Supply Rise, which is very similar in flight to the MD4. Just a slightly different look, a little shallower, like width-wise on the rim, not necessarily depth-wise. So it is very comfortable as well. But I also have the Infinite Discs Raw here today, a disc that I think is very underrated in the Infinite lineup. Well, I guess I can't even say that because I don't even throw it that much. But it is also 5402.5. I'll show you this compared to the Eternal Void as well. And it's definitely the most similar disc in Infinite's lineup to the MD4. The top looks very similar, but slightly deeper on the top part of the mold, but it's round as it kind of goes down towards the bead. It has a bigger bead than the MD4. Today, we're gonna be playing 9 holes here at Frontera Park, which is a local 9-hole course with 2 baskets. We're gonna be playing to the reds, which are the longer layout. Everything is kind of between 260 and 330 feet, throwing some forehands and backhands and seeing how the Eternal Void fares. Hole 1 gets started at 244 feet straight ahead. It's kind of obscured by the red minivan camouflage. I'm gonna throw as a baseline just a normal MD4. This is the metal flake version. And we're gonna throw them on a slight bit of hyzer out there. We don't have a ton of wind. If anything, it's a little head with a little right to left. My guess is the Eternal Void is going to be a little more overstable, maybe if only because it's bigger in my hands. And I don't know about the Raw because it's also flatter, which I think it's the most comfortable on forehands because it also feels slightly slimmer than these two. But I don't know how it's going to compare overall because honestly, I haven't really given a full chance to this disc yet either. So MD4 up first. Shorted it a bit, I think. Pretty good, pretty overstable. I threw it on hyzer. It kind of bit into the hyzer a little bit. I think if I throw this a little flatter, I can get more parked. And by flatter, I mean righter, because when you say flat, you mean right, actually, subconsciously. I don't know if it works for you like that. Pulled it, shoot. And now we'll try the Raw. I think right in between those lines, I don't know if it's gonna be glidier than the MD4s. Nope, pretty similar. Wow. I got some putts to get started. I would be a liar if I said that the cars back there didn't at least a little bit get in my head. I don't know if I have the right type of insurance to be hitting cars with a Frisbee. The reason there's so many cars is there's a school right by this course. So we'll start with the one that's farthest out, which is this Eternal Void. Probably just outside the circle. Ooh. This MD4, we're just gonna throw as comparison. So we'll only be putting from that MD4 and the Inca. There it is. You can snag all these, of course, on Infinite Discs, my sponsor. If you'd like, they'll be linked down below. We're gonna throw the forehands. We are now throwing into a little bit of a left to right. There's OB, I'm playing all the sidewalks as OB. The Inca has the box. So let's just try to be nice and smooth over the blue basket and finish towards the red. It's not quite as over as it needed to be, sit. Eternal Void up next, a little flatter, and that's money. Not quite as over as it needed to be, huh? Dang it. I guess there's metal. One good shot, dude. There it is. Well, I think it's a gray ace if you do it on the same hole, just a different basket, and a black ace if you do it on a completely different holes basket. So a little gray metal hit there. Long putt for the birdie, but it can still be done with the Eternal Void. And I have an inside the circle putt from the Inca. Those hold up better to a forehand than I thought, especially the Inca. For some reason, that rounded overness, the rounded overness of that Raw makes me think it's not going to be as torque resistant as it is. But I like it a decent bit. This kind of beaded mid-range style disc, not really my favorite in terms of feel. So I don't think either of them or any of these will go in my bag, but I know it's a super popular type of disc, so definitely worth reviewing. 2 for 2 on the low putts. There we go. Jeez. There's like water on the sidewalk where it went out. Or par. Yeah. Hole 3 is Ace Run City. I think it's right at 200 feet. So hope we can draw some legit metal this time. This hole actually isn't even 200. It's 186. So we'll see if we can forehand it right in there. Inca first. Raw first. I keep saying Inca because I've had Inca stamped on my site since like I first joined Infinite. New discs with that OG stamp are going to be available probably now if you're watching this. I really love that stamp, so I put it on some of my favorite discs from this year and your favorite discs from this year too, including some of my Tour Series Sphinxes, because I have a new run of something coming out later this year. But I've had Incas forever, so that's the overstable mid-range in my head. This is significantly more overstable than that, and I actually like it more. We'll go standstill. Oh, that was nice. Same, this will actually be a good toe, because that was pretty much what I wanted to do with that. It was a little more wobbly, but that should be a birdie parked. Oh, a little long still. And before I'm just gonna whip it at it, because that'd be electric. Yikes. I honestly feel like Kyle's discs don't get a lot of love from Disc Maniacs, or just in general, they don't seem to be nearly as popular. And the Vanguard is kind of interesting because it's like some of them are as stable as some FD3s, some of them are more like PDs, so there's kind of like fits in between a couple slots that Discmania already has. And the MD4, honestly, I don't really know if there's a lot of people on Discmania who throw it, so I don't know if it's like a Kyle Klein not being as popular as the other guys thing, or just the mold not being as popular, maybe a combo of both. I've really enjoyed his discs when I've thrown them. They just aren't typically the ones you think of when you think of Discmania Tour Series or Sky Team or like signature discs. All right, this raw made it out to circle 2. I'll putt with the black putter first because I should be able to make it with either of these, but for some reason the orange one's the only one that's going in. Not anymore. There we go. This is where we start getting into some goodies. 330 feet straight down there. So I'll have to flex them to get them there because I'm not throwing these things on a hyzer there. I'll probably try to flex it either somewhere over that light pole that's right there. I'll highlight it, and either to the right or left or right at it. It doesn't quite matter too much. It just needs to not go OB. Ra is maintaining the box, and it is a little shallower, and man, I might have to give this thing a chance in my bag for this like backhand slot. This is the Luster C blend specifically. I don't know anybody who throws this disc. That is not flexed. Shoot. It's not bad though. Okay, maybe it's not as overstable as I thought. That got down there pretty easily. These might be more overstable than that. Just might have good short shot torque resistance because it's flown similarly at about 260 feet. A little too much. Get back in bounds. Oh, I think that snuck back safe on the backside. They might be more similar than I thought. All right, I'll try to throw this one up the middle instead of flirting with the OB. Psych! What are you talking about, buddy? Let's throw it even more OB. That one is OB. Oh, sometimes I just should not talk before I throw. I am glad this came back, especially we do have a right to left, which maybe is what carried this one out here, or kept it out there, and didn't let that one fade hard. Soak with a double birdie on that one. I really do think this might be a category I flirt with. I last year didn't throw something really at all in this category. I had the Ultra, which is a little more overstable. When they beat in, they're a little more similar. And I threw Chariots, or Pathfinders at the very end, but mostly Chariots, which are like 550, 1 or 2. They're the old MD3 molds, and these are definitely a step up. I don't love the bead, but the raw is so flat and comfy in my hand. I think I'm gonna give it a little test in the bag. Mainly because compared to like when I was competing last season to now, I throw consistently a little harder. My mid-ranges were a slot that I didn't really have dialed. And so I think having something specifically for my backhand that I can throw on a slight flex or flat and know will get left might be a shot shape that I actually need. we'll have to see. Try not to overcomplicate it. I'm honestly trying to give myself a reason to not put something like this in my bag. And the more I think about it and the more I throw these, I'm like, man, that's a shot shape that would be really good to have. You convinced me, guys, you convinced me. I don't know what to say. You convinced me. Raw, again, 236 feet. We'll have 4 hands again. Like, that's so nice. I don't know if I would forehand this style of disc in general if I bagged it, because I think this is a shot that I like would throw. Here, I'll show you. With my chicane, for instance. Just like an approach disc, just a little more consistent. I mean, it's right there, same, but basically same shot. But this is making me think. Oh, baby. That wasn't lucky. That was what I planned to do. Dang. I think a good button on the point that I was trying to make a second ago, very poorly, might I add, is that I think once you're throwing past 450 consistently, the torque resistance that some mid-ranges have when you do power up on them, like you can get them distances, but they're not as torque resistant as they need to be. Those like straighter mids, which when you were throwing about 400 feet or a little less, they acted decently overstable when you threw a mid-range distances. And I think there are for sure people who would still throw these in that time, but the way I constructed my bag was basically flippy, straight, overstable. And now I think I need slightly less flippy, flip up to straight, straight to overstable like this, and then overstable, maybe a 4th mid. Wow, I just did not sum up that point at all. Basically, when you throw harder, you need more overstable discs because there's more shots that you can throw and less discs that will hold up to power. Wow, I should have just said that. I can't believe I made that. I was willing to be here for like 5 tries. Oh, please, go. Oh, it's so short. Not gonna get there, but it's a great shot. I mean, not gonna get there for the ace run. It's parked. Oh, that's the worst feeling ever. When you go down to pick up your disc and in your peripheral vision, you see it slam off the pole. Thank goodness that one stayed in. Hole 7's 286, just OB just behind. And I'm gonna play this as a mando to the left of this first tree, kind of double mando in between these trees. So we have to throw like a, what I think a lot of people would throw this disc for, like 285 feet flex shot. It holds it well. That's nice. I left it a little wider than I wanted to, so I thought I'd fight out of it more. Eternal Void. Left that one a little higher. I didn't quite get the nose down as much, and you'll see that in the flight. I do think that might be slightly more overstable though. Pretty similar, just a bit more overstable. Moonshot with this MD4. Pretty good. Spike Kaiser's the closest by far. I think part of why that one got a little more nose down is the thinner profile and the flatness. It's not as big in my hand, so for me, it's easier to pull those nose down anhysers. That's just small hand problems, but. What? Oh yeah, baby. 2 holes. Eternal Void is 2 back. Ra is 1 back of perfect. The sun is 1 back of being up. And I am 3 back of sanity. 213. Throw the forehand hyzer. Stall it in there. Get right. A little straighter. Good shot though. It's gonna be putting up the hill. You need to drive it a little more, and actually a little more hyzer. I did both. Guess I just missed the angle. Ooh, let's try the forehand right at it. No, shoot. I actually really like that on my hand. We'll call this hazard so that we don't get the meter in advantage. Eternal Void is slacking at 5 through 8. But I will say, I really like both of these discs. They're more underrated even than I gave them credit for at the beginning of this video. This is a good swat. I personally do prefer the Ra. Not because it's an infinite disc, but just the shallower hand feel. That little rounded bottom is a little interesting to me, but it's gonna make a rotation in my bag, at least for now. I don't know how much I'll throw it. I also know, I mean, it's my sponsor, I can get more of them if I need pretty easily. But last hole with a head right to left, gotta ace it. It has to be a forehand to ace it with the raw. I don't think it's a hyzer because of the wind. I think it's flat over this tree, stall it in. Oh, I'm really happy with that effort, to be honest with you. Did throw that one a little righter, get right. Oh, short. Yeah, it's a little more overstable than the raw for sure. If the raw's a 2.5 fade, this might be a 2.7. Wait, I think this is 5403 anyways. Never mind, they got it right. What am I talking about? By up the middle, I mean over the middle. That's pretty good though. This is a lot of fun. And I think this probably is truly the most underrated Discmania Tour Series disc that's out there right now. Maybe just because it's not rated very much. I haven't seen a lot about it. So I like kind of reviewing those little hidden gems. And this is a lot of fun. So hopefully I make both these putts and you enjoy. Subscribe if you'd like. Snag the disc at Infinite if you want. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon. Nice. Good finish. Solid round. This was fun. See you next time.